Hi. We're still in Sundar Singh's book, Essential Writings, and we're still in the introduction. This is about a visit he made to Europe and the U.S. in 1922, and the things that he learned from that visit. So I'm going to read from the book now. It says, admonished for his lack of familiarity with 20th century science, Sundar Singh said, "What is science?" "Natural selection. You know, the survival of the fittest," he was told. "Ah," Sundar Singh replied, "but I am more interested in divine selection and the survival of the unfit." So I thought that was a nice answer. I liked that one. Then there was his attitude to money. Sundar Singh refused to accept it, even when he needed it. And when someone forced a gift on him, he gave it away. There was also his unorthodox attitude to matters such as church membership, of which he said, "I belong to the body of Christ, to the true church, which cannot be understood as a building of tiles and stones. It is a body of true Christians, living and dead, visible and invisible. But I have nothing against anyone becoming a member of an organized church. As for the apostolic succession, I don't believe in it. Though if this belief helps people in their spiritual life, then let them believe in it. But if the living Christ is really near us and lives in our hearts, why should we reject him, the kernel of our faith, and cling to a dried up outer shell?" Then it mentions something that was a reason behind his visit to the West. For Sundar Singh had heard things about the West. And it says that it confirmed Sundar Singh's own suspicion that while Western Christianity might be rich in organization, theology, doctrine, and tradition, it was poor in spirit and sorely needed recentering on the foundation from which it had strayed, the living Christ. So there's much in his writings that some people would find maybe offensive. But I believe it's important for us to pay attention to the observation of different people, to different paths that we take. We all have strengths and weaknesses. It doesn't make us right or wrong about things, but we may be wrong in either our emphasis or our manner, or we may be following a wrong path. But our strengths and weaknesses, it helps to listen to people's critiques, because then we can change what we can change and what needs to be changed. It should also make us more generous towards each other, because when we see what others are doing, we should be watching where we can help. So we should be seeking each other's good. And this reminded me of a text in 1 Corinthians 10, verses 23 to chapter 11, verse 1. And it has a subtitle in my Bible, The Believer's Freedom. Everything is permissible, but not everything is beneficial. Everything is permissible, but not everything is constructive. Nobody should seek his own good, but the good of others. Eat anything sold in the meat market without raising questions of conscience, for the earth is the Lord's and everything in it. If some unbeliever invites you to a meal and you want to go, eat whatever is put before you, without raising questions of conscience. But if anyone says to you, "This has been offered in..." I've lost my place here. "This has been offered in sacrifice," then do not eat it. both for the sake of the man who told you and for conscience sake. The other man's conscience, I mean, not yours. For why should my freedom be judged by another's conscience? If I take part in the meal with thankfulness, why am I denounced because of something I thank God for? So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God. Do not cause anyone to stumble, whether Jews, Greeks, or the Church of God, even as I try to please everybody in every way. For I am not seeking my own good, but the good of many, so that they may be saved. Follow my example, as I follow the example of Christ. So I think this is a passage that we should regularly look at. Are we generous to the other person? Are we thinking of their conscience, not just concerned about our own? Are we listening in an effort to help others and making their interest our interest? I'm going to link to 2 videos. One was one that David did on Leslie Newbegin, a missionary to India for 40 years. He wrote a book called Foolishness to Greeks. And also he became a great educator and critic to the Western Church. So he has many good things that follow in this same line of thinking. And then another one, Fenton Hort, Were the Apostles Divided? Did early Christians divide from Jews?